Good evening, my fellow Canadians. Good evening, YouTube. So I just like to take off from where I left off in the previous video. So this is the Canadian soldier who was injured in combat, lost a leg and lost feeling in his right leg and perhaps severe tissue damage as well, confronting Trudeau. And I think that perhaps a lot of people have forgotten this clip, and it's important that it's remembered. So let's get into it. The first part of the video that I discussed in the previous, that was Trudeau answering about veterans' pensions and benefits, and sort of skirting the issue and talking his way around it and avoiding this gentleman's questions. So the second part of this video, I want to get into further analysis about how the conversation went. So let's continue on.
So my question is to you, Mr. Prime Minister, what veterans were you talking about? You know, because you have ISIL or ISIS members coming into a reintegration program. You did a backdoor deal with Omar Khadr with not even stepping into the courtroom. You know, so again, my question is, what veterans were you talking about? Was the ones that fought for the freedoms and values that you so proudly boast about, or was it the ones who fought against? Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me. So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your passion and your strength and being here today to share this justifiable frustration and anger with me and with all of us here. Thank you for having the courage to stand here, and thank you for listening to my answer. On a couple of elements you brought up. First of all, why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now. They are asking for more than we... Well, no, hang on. You're asking for honest answers. The old Veterans Charter involved lump sum payments and very little in the way of services. We have significantly invested in services, rehabilitation, support, investments in training and support for caregivers and families that have gone a long way towards improving the quality of life and outcomes for veterans. And we cannot return to the amount of money that was given before without accounting for the money invested in services for veterans. And what I know from veterans I've spoken to is nobody wants, after having served their country with valor and honor and sacrifice, to have their government say, here's your check, now don't bother us anymore. We need to support you through the course of your life with the things that you need, with the things that your family needs for it. And that is at the heart of the new veterans approach that we have, that you will see more details on in the budget coming forward.
Okay, so now you see him answering the question with a lot of nonsensical answers and basically dodging the question and beginning to misdirect the crowd. So all I'd like to say in this respect is that Trudeau does not take this soldier seriously at all. In fact, I would say that he doesn't care in the slightest. And here's my proof. This is a article that was posted by CBC News on August 31st. And this is the same soldier. No, I don't know if there's autofocus there. Here we go. So this is Brock Blaszczyk, the same soldier who asked the question in this video. And him and I believe 6 others are suing the federal government for the current status quo that this government has installed for the veterans' benefits, and that they're being ignored by the federal government. So you can read here. Essentially, it's talking about that there is a. What happened was that Brock went to the Supreme Court of Canada with 6 others and appealed a ruling so that they could sue the government and get the proper, from that lawsuit would come the funding that they could then sue on behalf of the fellow war veterans that served with them, and that the money could be given to their fellow comrades, the fellow veterans that were injured. What ended up happening was the Supreme Court of Canada ruled against them, citing there was no obligation or social covenant between Canada and those who have served in its military. Now just imagine that statement, that you go to the Supreme Court, wounded veterans go to the Supreme Court and are refused on the basis that there is no obligation and no social covenant between Canada and those who have served in its military. Okay. It is impossible to understate how disgusting and how dishonorable that statement is. Each and every one of us as Canadian citizens owes these people a debt of gratitude. Every single one of us. Our way of life and our ideals and our freedoms are on the backs of these people who have sacrificed either their lives or limbs or their body. It doesn't matter. Their psychology, their mind, everything exhausted. Imagine in combat being wounded as this man has been wounded, losing a leg, losing feeling in his right leg, and so forth. And that's just one of them. We have a staggering obligation to these people, and we definitely have a social covenant with Canadian soldiers. If you spend any time or you have any respect for Remembrance Day and so forth, and you claim to have the virtue that you have, you will show respect and reverence to Canadian soldiers that fell in combat or who are injured in combat. So, essentially, this is Trudeau coming full circle. This broadcast here by Trudeau being questioned, that's February 1st, 2018, which was published on YouTube. And this document here is August 31st, 2018. So, you know, I just, this is, I cannot tell you how angry that makes me. And I'm not even in the military, and I haven't been wounded as they have. And imagine their frustration with Justin Trudeau over this nonsense. Here he is trying to explain himself and so on and so forth. But as I say, actions speak louder than words. If Trudeau's actions were clear and beneficial, then there's no reason for these people to go to court, is there? So it's like, you know, the hypocrisy never ends. You can keep going on and on and on with evidence against Trudeau. The ways things have been unfolding the past week, it just goes to show the arrogance of Justin Trudeau. And it's true. He's arrogant. He doesn't care about our own veterans in action. What he cares about is ISIL members. He cares about terrorists and how to be good to terrorists. Here, you can watch as we continue.
I get that. Now, you also brought up a couple of other issues. The issue of ISIL fighters and the issue of Omar Khadr. And if you like, I'll address both of those. Thank you. There are about 60 people who have returned from places like Syria and other places in the Middle East, suspected of having fought with Daesh or ISIL. Those folks are being monitored and watched and accounted for by our intelligence agencies, by our security agencies. In fact, 2 of those people have been brought up on charges. Under the previous government, which, according to some of you, was a lot tougher on these sorts of things, there were also about 60 people under, surveillance, or at least known to our intelligence agencies over.
Okay, I'd just like to make a quick comment on that. His figure of 60 is completely wrong. Also, there's no way of him to guarantee that he knows exactly how much monitoring is going on behind the scenes. I'd like to add that there are at least 300 known former ISIS fighters in Canada today, according to a figure that I read in the paper before. I think it was the Calgary Sun. So that was a lie. Trudeau is lying. He's lying about the fact that that the Canadian Secret Service and Special Intelligence is watching. Perhaps they are. I don't think that they're very much interfering in the lives of these terrorist people. But more importantly, which I'll discuss in the next video, the fact that these people fought for ISIS and ISIL and are permitted back into this country is absolutely stupidity, and it's dangerous for Canadians. Justin Trudeau doesn't care about our national security nor protecting our borders. Just ask Quebec. There's a great deal of money being wasted, but most importantly, Justin Trudeau doesn't care about the safety of Canadians. And if he did, none of these people that would have returned from fighting with ISIS or ISIL would ever cross the Canadian borders again. As explained concisely here, if you go and fight for ISIL or for ISIS, you forfeit your Canadian identity, you forfeit your Canadian ideals, and you forfeit your Canadian citizenship. Take a page from Trump's handbook on that one. Because I tell you, being a traitor to the ideals of Canada, that is a far deeper crime than anything that they commit. Not to mention that they've committed murder. I thank you for your attention, and I hope that you can watch the next video. Bye-bye.